Gentlemen, if you think she's always telling you the truth, think again. Some lies are soft, some are silent, but others, they're designed to make you question your worth while she gets exactly what she wants. Let's talk about the lies you didn't even realize you've been told. I'm not talking to anyone else. It sounds like reassurance. It sounds like exclusivity, honesty, and emotional safety. But in the real world, especially in modern dating, this statement often serves a much deeper purpose than simply calming your insecurities. At face value, it gives you a sense of security. You think, okay, she's focused on me. She's not exploring other options. This could be something real. But this statement is rarely just about exclusivity. It's about control. Control over how you see her. Control over how much you invest. And often, control over the timeline she's managing with other people on the sidelines. A woman doesn't need to be a player to lie about this. Sometimes it's not even malicious. Sometimes it's just strategic. She may genuinely be talking to other people, texting an ex casually, flirting in DMs, going on occasional dates, but if she senses that you're the more emotionally invested one, she'll withhold that truth. Why? Because she knows it might spook you. She knows you might pull back, question her intentions, or worse, walk away. And most people don't like losing a good option, especially not someone who treats them well, gives them attention, or provides a sense of validation and consistency that others don't. Let's break it down with a common scenario. You meet a woman online, let's say on a dating app. You hit it off quickly. The chemistry feels right, and she's giving you real attention. She's texting you good morning, responding fast, and seems genuinely interested in your life. After 2 or 3 dates, things seem to be going well. At some point, either through curiosity or insecurity, you ask, "So, are you talking to anyone else?" She smiles gently and says, "No, just you." You feel a sense of pride, a warm sense of closeness, like you've already won her over. But what you don't see is that her dating app is still active, that someone else is messaging her too, that she might be going for brunch with a male friend on Sunday, a friend she didn't mention because it's nothing. In her mind, none of these interactions are serious, so they don't count as talking. She's not lying, she tells herself. She's just not offering the full truth. And that's where it gets tricky. This lie isn't always a bold-faced falsehood. It's often a selective truth. It's crafted to manage perception. She may have others on her phone, but in her mind, those interactions don't compete with the connection she feels with you. Or maybe they do, and she's still deciding. And this is the part most men miss. She might still be deciding between you and someone else, but she won't say that. Instead, she gives you the answer you want to hear, the answer that keeps you invested, consistent, and patient. Some women will even lie about this to maintain power in the dynamic. Think about it. If she admits she's talking to someone else, especially early on, the natural male response is to either pull back or compete harder, but that pulls the balance of power out of her hands. If she keeps you in the dark, you remain hopeful, you remain focused, you give your time, energy, attention, gifts, emotional support, all while she's still evaluating if you're even the final choice. And some women, not all, but some, enjoy being the one with options. It's not about being malicious, it's about emotional leverage. There's also a more subtle version of this lie that plays out in longer-term relationships. Let's say you and this woman have been dating casually, maybe even sleeping together. You haven't defined the relationship yet, but you've both built a routine. She tells you she's not talking to anyone else. She might even delete the app in front of you. But she still has someone she used to see texting her occasionally. She might even reply from time to time. Maybe she doesn't consider it talking, but it's still a thread, an open door. She's not fully closed off to other possibilities. Yet, to you, she says, "I'm not talking to anyone else," as if the connection is sealed and exclusive. And that's where the danger lies. It creates a false sense of commitment where none actually exists. You begin investing deeper, emotionally, mentally, even financially, believing you're the only one in her world. But she's still got exits, still got options, still got conversations happening that you don't know about. Conversations she may downplay, reframe, or hide, not because she's evil, but because she wants to keep you around while she keeps her choices open. "I don't know what I want right now" is one of the most emotionally confusing statements a woman can make in the early stages of a romantic connection. It's vague, it's passive, and on the surface, it sounds honest. But beneath that softness, this phrase often masks a hard truth. She knows exactly what she wants. It's just not you right now. Whether she's trying to soften the blow of rejection, avoid hurting your feelings, or keep you as a backup option while she sorts through her emotions or circumstances, this sentence does far more damage than it seems to. It creates ambiguity where there should be clarity. It keeps men emotionally hopeful, investing in someone who is already emotionally pulled back. Let's unpack this with a real-world example. Imagine a man and a woman who have been seeing each other for a few weeks. They've gone on some great dates, shared laughter, conversations that lasted hours, maybe even intimacy. From his perspective, things are flowing. There's chemistry, connection, and consistency. But slowly, her responses become shorter. Her energy shifts. The compliments are less frequent. She starts canceling plans, first once, then twice. When he finally brings up the "what are we" conversation or expresses that he's starting to catch feelings, she gives him the dreaded line, "I don't know what I want right now." Now, to a man who's emotionally involved, this sentence doesn't sound like a rejection. It sounds like a delay. It feels like a pause, like she just needs time. And maybe, just maybe, if he's patient enough, she'll circle back. So he waits. He stays in contact. He stays available. He becomes more careful, more emotionally cautious, trying to prove his value without pressuring her. And in the process, he starts giving more while she gives less. What's happening behind the scenes is often simple, but rarely spoken. In most cases, when a woman says she doesn't know what she wants, it's because she's not excited about what's in front of her. She knows that if the right man walked into her life tomorrow, she'd suddenly know. Her confusion would vanish. Her hesitations would dissolve. Because the right emotional chemistry, the right physical pull, the right timing, those things create certainty. They don't leave someone feeling unsure. So when she tells you she doesn't know, what she really means is, "You're good, but not compelling enough to make me commit." Or worse, "I'm entertaining someone else, and I'm buying time while I figure out who I want more." Either way, you're no longer in a position of emotional power. You're in limbo. The worst part about this lie is that it often sounds like emotional vulnerability. It can sound like she's being open, like she's battling internal confusion, like she's just trying to figure life out. And sometimes, to be fair, that's true. Life can get complicated. She may be dealing with stress, grief, family pressure, or mental health issues. But even in those cases, if a woman is truly emotionally interested in you, if you spark something real in her, she'll let you know where you stand. Even if she needs time, she'll offer clarity. Something like, "I'm dealing with a lot right now, but I want you in my life, and I don't want to lose this connection." That sounds very different from "I don't know what I want," which is intentionally vague. It's an escape hatch. A soft rejection disguised as emotional honesty. It allows her to step back without confronting the full weight of her withdrawal. Another side of this phrase shows up in long-term or situationship-style dynamics. Let's say you've been seeing a woman for months, maybe even close to a year. You're doing everything a boyfriend would: emotional support, physical intimacy, being there when she needs help, making time, making effort. But anytime you bring up labels or exclusivity, she hits you with, I don't know if I'm ready for a relationship, or I don't know what I want. Now, months in, that's not uncertainty. It's a choice. She's choosing not to commit. She's choosing to take everything she benefits from emotionally and physically, while keeping herself free to explore other men or options. And you're left stuck in a gray zone that feels like a relationship but isn't defined like one. This lie is especially powerful because it doesn't push you away completely. She's not saying no. She's not telling you to leave. She's telling you to wait. She's placing you on an emotional shelf, keeping you warm just in case her other options fall through. And if you're not emotionally strong enough to walk away, you'll keep showing up, hoping your consistency will convince her. But what many men don't realize is, once a woman says, I don't know what I want, she's already stepped back from seeing you as the one. You deserve better is one of the most deceptive, emotionally manipulative phrases a woman can say. Not because it's always spoken with ill intent, but because it disguises rejection in the clothes of compassion. It makes her look like the one who's being selfless, empathetic, even noble. On the surface, it sounds like care. It sounds like she's looking out for your best interest. But underneath that smooth, emotionally gentle statement is often a hard truth she doesn't want to say directly. She's no longer interested in being with you, but she also doesn't want to feel like the villain. So instead of owning her decision or confronting her own detachment, she spins it in a way that protects her image while still walking away. And men, especially those who are emotionally invested, often take the bait because the words sound noble, and the ego grabs onto the idea that maybe it isn't about them. Maybe it's just bad timing. Maybe she's damaged. Maybe she's too emotionally wounded to receive the love he's offering. And maybe, if he waits long enough, she'll come around. Picture this. A man is dating a woman for several months. They've been through highs and lows. He's been patient, emotionally available, and willing to put in effort even when she was inconsistent. He's shown her love, provided security, and supported her through her tough moments. Maybe she just got out of a previous toxic relationship, or maybe she's dealing with unresolved emotional trauma. Throughout their time together, he's made it clear he's not going anywhere. He's willing to wait, to help her heal, to be different from all the men who came before. Then one night, out of the blue, she tells him, "You're amazing, honestly. You're everything a woman could want. You've treated me better than anyone ever has, but I just feel like you deserve better." Now pause. To him, this hits like a paradox. If he's all that, and she sees it, then why is she pulling away? Because the reality is, she knows she doesn't feel it for him. That emotional spark, that deep pull that makes a woman want to commit, to love fiercely, to give herself fully, it's missing. And instead of saying, "I don't feel a deep enough connection to continue," or "I've realized I'm not as attracted to you emotionally or physically as I thought," she avoids that brutal honesty and cloaks it in this martyr-like declaration of "you deserve better." What she's really doing is letting herself off the hook. She gets to exit the relationship without confrontation, without tears, without having to be seen as cold or disloyal. She's turning the breakup into a sacrifice. She's letting you go because you're too good. But if he really was everything she needed and wanted, there would be no need to let go at all. This phrase also serves a second, more dangerous purpose. It creates emotional confusion and false hope. Instead of giving the man closure, it leaves him wondering, is it really over? He starts reflecting on what she said. He thinks, she said I'm amazing. She said I treated her better than anyone else. She just feels like she's the problem. And so he stays emotionally tethered. He doesn't fully move on. He might continue reaching out, checking in, showing support, thinking that maybe if he just proves himself a bit more, she'll come back. He starts to believe that she's broken and that it's his job to show her she's worthy of love. That's the trap. He internalizes her rejection as his mission. This phrase also gives women a way to deflect guilt. Imagine a woman who has emotionally or physically cheated, or perhaps started catching feelings for someone else. Rather than confront that directly, rather than confess or be transparent, she opts for the safer route. You deserve better. It spares her from having to tell the truth about why she's mentally checked out or emotionally unavailable. Maybe she's not ready to commit. Maybe she wants the freedom to explore her options. Maybe she's bored, but saying that would mean facing judgment, both yours and her own. So she covers her exit with a comforting lie that makes her feel better and keeps you from seeing her as heartless. There's another version of this that shows up even before relationships officially begin. Sometimes a man meets a woman, and after a few dates, he starts catching real feelings. He expresses interest, consistency, a desire to build something, and out of nowhere, she drops the line. "You're honestly such a good guy. You're the kind of man every woman wants, but I just don't want to hurt you. You deserve better than what I can give right now." Once again, she's dressing up her disinterest as kindness. Instead of rejecting him directly, she frames it as though she's saving him from future pain. But the truth is, she's already made her decision. She's just too emotionally uncomfortable to own it with full honesty. "I've never done this before" is a phrase loaded with intention, often whispered in vulnerable moments, typically when emotional or physical intimacy is on the line. At first glance, it seems innocent, sweet even. It paints her as shy, cautious, and maybe even a little unsure of what's unfolding between the two of you. But let's be clear, when a woman says this, it's rarely because she's genuinely inexperienced. It's almost always a calculated move to influence your perception of her, to appear more delicate, more emotionally invested, or more special than she might actually be feeling in that moment. It's a way to engineer the atmosphere. She wants you to slow down, to see her as someone who doesn't give herself away easily. It makes you feel like you're accessing a part of her world that's been off limits to others. And most men, especially those who are emotionally drawn in, fall for this illusion because they want to believe they're the exception. Let's walk through a scenario. A man meets a woman through mutual friends. They start texting, then talking regularly, and before long, things progress to late-night conversations and undeniable chemistry. They start going out, intimate dinners, flirty banter, lingering eye contact. A few weeks in, things get physical. Right before they cross that line, whether it's the first kiss, spending the night, or full-on intimacy, she whispers, "I've never done this before." Maybe she means she's never gone this far this quickly, or never had a one-night stand, or never kissed on the first date. But let's not ignore what this statement really does. It disarms him. It slows down his judgment. It creates an illusion of uniqueness, makes him feel like this moment is rare, sacred even. He becomes more emotionally careful, more invested, more proud of what he's earned, and she gets the upper hand without ever having to say much more. But here's the part that's uncomfortable for most men to hear. In many cases, this isn't the first time she's done this. In fact, she may have said the exact same words to someone else, months or even weeks before, but she knows how it sounds. She knows what it does to you. It makes you feel like you've tapped into something that others didn't, that somehow you're the first. It frames her actions as more meaningful, more emotionally significant, even if they're being repeated from a pattern. She gets to retain a sense of innocence, mystery, and emotional complexity, all while engaging in something she's fully chosen, fully understood, and perhaps even strategically planned. Another version of this phrase shows up in more emotionally vulnerable situations. Let's say you're in the talking stage. You've been having deep conversations, past traumas, goals, childhood stories, And one night, she opens up about something she's never told anyone else. Or so she says. She looks you in the eye and says, "I've never told anyone this before." And maybe it's something truly intimate, a story of heartbreak, abuse, betrayal, or failure. But here's what you need to understand. Just because she says she's never told anyone doesn't mean she hasn't. In many cases, it's a rehearsed line. Not because she's cold or evil, but because it gets results. It deepens trust. It accelerates bonding. It makes the man on the receiving end feel chosen, trusted, and emotionally needed. And when a man feels like he's being let into that sacred space, he naturally becomes more protective, more loyal, more emotionally available. It's not always a lie in the harshest sense of the word. It can be a half-truth, an exaggeration, or a rephrased version of something she's done before under different circumstances. But the effect is the same. It shifts the dynamic in her favor. It makes you more cautious, more gentle, more forgiving. It makes you think you're moving at her pace, when in reality, she's already fully in control. And if you ever try to reflect on the situation objectively, maybe weeks or months later, you might realize it wasn't as unique as you thought. You weren't the first to hear that story, to touch that place in her, to be told you were different. You were just the latest to believe it. Sometimes this phrase even appears when she senses you're pulling back. If a woman feels like she's losing your interest or that you're becoming emotionally distant, she might start to reframe your experience with her as something rare. She'll say, "I've never connected like this before," or "This feels so different from anything I've had." Again, the goal is to re-engage your emotional investment. By framing the moment as one of a kind, she subtly pressures you to treat it with more weight. Because now, it's not just a fling, it's something rare. Something almost sacred. And suddenly, even if you had doubts, you're back in, wondering if maybe she really is different, or if maybe you are the one who unlocked something no one else could. There's also the guilt-shielding aspect of this phrase. If a woman chooses to engage in something that she knows might normally be judged, sleeping with someone too soon, confessing something heavy, making a bold move, saying, "I've never done this before," gives her a layer of protection. It tells you, "Don't see me like the others. This isn't normal for me." And in return, you're more likely to view her actions with empathy, patience, and reverence. "He's just a friend" is one of the most misleading and emotionally manipulative phrases a woman can say when confronted about another man's presence in her life. It's designed to instantly shut down a conversation, silence your instincts, and make you feel like the insecure one for even questioning her. On the surface, it sounds innocent, casual, almost dismissive. But underneath, it carries layers of possible emotional betrayal, boundary testing, and gaslighting. This phrase is often used to disguise something deeper, emotional intimacy with another man, attraction that she doesn't want to admit, or in some cases, the early stages of something physical she hasn't yet been caught in. And while not every case of just a friend is cheating, the way this phrase is used, especially in moments when you bring it up out of genuine concern, is a red flag in and of itself. Let's look at a common scenario. You've been seeing a woman for a while. Things seem to be going well. You're loyal, committed, and showing up for her emotionally. But then you start noticing patterns. A guy keeps popping up in her conversations, maybe a coworker, an old college friend, or someone she claims has been around forever. You notice she laughs a little harder at his jokes, answers his messages instantly, or lights up in a way that feels different when his name comes up. Maybe he's liking all her photos, leaving flirty emojis, or tagging her in memes that suggest a private connection. So one night you bring it up. You ask, calmly, directly, "What's the deal with him?" And she replies with a look of disbelief and a scoff, "Wow, seriously? He's just a friend." Now in that moment, she's not just denying any wrongdoing. She's making you feel ridiculous for even having the thought. That's the emotional trap. Because instead of discussing what you're actually feeling, which might be emotional distance, a sense of replacement, or subtle shifts in her attention, the conversation is now about your insecurity. You're now the jealous boyfriend, the possessive man, the one who doesn't trust her. Meanwhile, the deeper reality might be that this friend is slowly being positioned as her emotional backup. Maybe she vents to him when you argue. Maybe he compliments her in ways you used to, but no longer do. Maybe they have inside jokes that you're not a part of. And maybe, whether she admits it or not, she enjoys knowing she has his attention as a safety net, just in case things with you don't work out. What makes "he's just a friend" so dangerous is that it allows women to maintain emotional attachments with men they're drawn to while never having to be held accountable for the boundaries they're crossing. And let's be honest, most women know when a male friend wants more. They're not blind to the way he lingers in conversation, the way he gives gifts, the way he compliments her photos. She knows he'd say yes in a heartbeat if she offered something more. But as long as she keeps calling him a friend, she doesn't have to address that tension. She doesn't have to admit that she likes the attention, that she enjoys the validation, that on some level it feeds her ego. And worst of all, she doesn't have to give him up. There's another version of this that's even more manipulative. Sometimes a woman will deliberately maintain male friendships that blur the line between platonic and flirty because it gives her emotional leverage. Maybe she's not ready to fully commit to one man. Maybe she's keeping her options open. Or maybe she's punishing you, subtly showing you that other men still desire her, so you'd better step up. And if you ever confront her, it's the same old script. He's just a friend. You're being paranoid. Don't be insecure. Suddenly, she's the victim and you're the controlling one. Meanwhile, the emotional damage is being done quietly, behind the scenes. Let's go deeper. Sometimes just a friend is a man she used to sleep with, an ex, a fling, someone she once had deep emotional or physical chemistry with. But now that chapter is closed, she claims it's harmless. They're just friends now. But here's the problem. Those kinds of bonds rarely vanish. There's always residue. History doesn't evaporate just because she says it's over. If she really valued your relationship and the emotional safety within it, she would understand how inappropriate it is to keep that person close. Yet instead of acknowledging that, she'll try to convince you that you're overreacting, that your discomfort is your own issue. And in doing so, she avoids any responsibility for setting or respecting boundaries. Even worse, some women use this line to test you, to see how much you'll tolerate, to see how far they can go with another man before you finally draw the line. It's a power move. If you accept he's just a friend once, she knows she can use it again. And every time you swallow your concern, every time you pretend it's not bothering you, she gains more emotional ground, more control over the relationship dynamic. Over time, you'll find yourself competing silently with someone who was never supposed to be part of the equation. You'll wonder why your connection feels off, why she's distant, why your emotional and physical chemistry is fading, all while she continues to tell you over and over again that you have nothing to worry about. "It's not you, it's me" is one of the most recycled cliché and dishonest lines in modern dating. It sounds thoughtful and self-aware on the surface, like she's taking the blame, sparing your feelings, and giving you closure. But when you peel back the emotional packaging, what you often find is a woman trying to escape a situation without admitting the real reasons. It's a phrase women use when they don't want to say, "I'm not attracted to you anymore," or "you're not enough for me," or "there's someone else who excites me more." It gives them an exit while appearing kind. And because most men don't know how to decode that phrase, they take it at face value. They leave confused, wondering what went wrong, questioning themselves, and sometimes even feeling guilty, as if her decision to walk away really was about her personal issues. Imagine you've been dating someone for a few months. You've been attentive, consistent, emotionally available. You've done the work. You've checked in, made plans, communicated your feelings. Everything seemed to be moving in a promising direction. Then, out of nowhere, she sits you down, maybe over coffee, maybe after a nice dinner, and hits you with the softest punch. Listen, I just want to say you've been amazing. Honestly, you're everything I could ask for. But I just need to be honest with myself. I'm not ready. I need to work on me. It's not you, it's me. And in that moment, she looks sincere. Her voice might crack a little. Maybe she even tears up. It feels genuine. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If she truly believed you were the one, if she truly felt that undeniable connection, she wouldn't be walking away. The line, "It's not you, it's me," isn't about her brokenness. It's about her lack of feelings for you that she doesn't want to admit. Maybe she's not feeling the emotional spark she hoped for. Maybe the chemistry just isn't intense enough. Or maybe she's realized that she can't see a future with you, even if she doesn't want to say it outright. So instead of communicating that directly and dealing with the fallout, your hurt, your confusion, your possible questions, she chooses the easiest emotional escape route. She turns inward, blames herself, and masks rejection as self-reflection. This line is also incredibly convenient. It shuts down the conversation. What can you really say to, "It's not you, it's me"? You can't argue with someone who claims they need to work on themselves. You can't convince someone to stay if they say they're emotionally unavailable. It's a shield, one that allows her to protect her image, avoid conflict, and walk away without addressing the truth that might actually sting. And while she may genuinely believe she's being kind, what she's really doing is avoiding accountability for the choices she's making. Because in reality, "It's not you, it's me" often translates to, "I've made a decision, but I don't want to hurt you with the real reasons." There's also a manipulative edge to it. When a woman uses this phrase, she creates a dynamic where you start reflecting inward, as if the end of the relationship was about timing or emotional mismatch, not incompatibility. You start wondering if maybe you were too intense, too available, or too eager. Maybe she's right. Maybe she is damaged, and you just showed up at the wrong time. And so you leave the situation still caring, still hoping, still emotionally attached. You don't feel rejected. You feel like she just needs space. You tell yourself that maybe in a few months, when she's worked on herself, she'll be back. And that's the trap. She gets to walk away clean without facing the responsibility of burning a bridge while you sit in emotional limbo. And let's not pretend this phrase only comes from women who are lost or confused. Sometimes, "It's not you, it's me," is pure deflection, used by women who already know exactly why they're leaving. Maybe she's been texting someone else. Maybe there's an ex who just reappeared. Maybe she's gotten bored, or realized she wants a different lifestyle, or wants the freedom to explore other options without guilt. But saying that would make her look selfish. It would expose her. So she blames herself, not because it's true, but because it's safe. She tells you it's her issue, so you'll leave quietly. So you'll protect her dignity. So you'll remember her as the sweet girl who just needed time, instead of the woman who dropped you when it stopped serving her. This phrase also conveniently leaves the door cracked open. She didn't say she didn't love you. She didn't say you weren't good enough. She said she's the problem, and because of that, you might hold on. You might wait, thinking she'll return once she's healed or figured herself out. But most of the time, "It's not you, it's me" is code for "I'm already gone. I just don't want to admit it." It's a quiet way to leave while still being remembered gently, without the weight of full responsibility. So the next time you hear those 5 words, "It's not you, it's me," don't just hear the softness of the tone or the sadness in her eyes. Listen for the truth behind the deflection. Ask yourself if it's really about timing or self-work, or if it's about avoidance, guilt, or a quiet exit from something she no longer values the same way you do. As men, it's important to stop internalizing vague goodbyes and start recognizing the patterns that protect someone else's comfort at the cost of your clarity. You deserve honesty, not emotional riddles. You deserve someone who is all in, not someone half present behind polite excuses. So when someone tells you it's not you, remember, that doesn't automatically make it them. Sometimes it's just the way they choose to leave, and that in itself tells you everything you need to know.